Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to cut and sew this beautiful dress. If you are new here, please subscribe and remember the notification bell. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. So I fold my material into two. I'm going to mark 2 inches on the back for zip. Then I fold again this into two. I place on top where I mark. Half length is 17 inches plus 1 inch to sew. Shoulder is 16 inches divided by 2 plus allowance to sew. Placing my tape on the shoulder, I mark 10.5 inches and I mark 1 inch on the shoulder to trim. Neckline, I measure 3.5 inches. I will cut back with ½ inch. So this is the armhole I mark. Bust is 48 inches divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. Waist is 46 inches divided by 4 plus sewing allowance and plus to sew that. So I'm going to cut. I cut back with ½ inch, trim 1 inch from the shoulder. I notch. I place my tape this way. I mark 5 inches for that. So I cut the lining just like the main material. So this is the half length. This dress is 3 in 1. This is number 1. I'm going to cut the middle part now. So I'm going to cut the middle one. I also mark 2 inches on the back for zip. This is the middle one. It's a 3 in 1 style, 3 in 1 dress. So just like the top. So I remove 17 inches from this is the half length. I remove 17 inches. So I'm going to measure 41 inches plus sewing allowance. This is the middle one. It's a 3 in 1 dress. Waist is 46 inches, remember, plus to sew and for that. Hip is 52 inches. I'm going to first measure from waist 11 inches and I measure hip 52 inches divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. The down part I measure 46 inches divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. I will cut now. I notch. So I measure 5 inches for that. So I cut lining. So this is the one to sew on the down parts. I'm going to plait on the down parts. So you can see it's 3 in 1. So I fold the one to sew on the down part into 4. I fold into 4 and I measure 30 inches by 21 inches plus sewing allowance. So I'm going to cut the sleeve now. I fold into 4. I measure 12 inches plus sewing allowance. Round sleeve is 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches plus sewing allowance. I'm going to sew plait on the round sleeve. This is for the armhole. So I'm going to sew plain on the round sleeve, and I will sew this black one on it. So I'm going to plaint on the round sleeve. Like this. After sewing, I will now sew this black one in between the top and the one I just plaint. I will sew this one on the down parts of the sleeve. Just like this. This is how the sleeve looks like. So I'm done sewing for the two sleeves. I'm going to start with the top now. This is for the back. I will sew this way, the zip on the side, and sew that. So I'm going to sew the lining on the middle part. I will sew on the back where I will sew zip on, and I will sew on the second part and sew that. So I'm done sewing for the back, the lining on it, and I sew that. I sew the side in. This is where I will sew zip on, and the neckline. This is the two for the back. This for the front. What I'm going to do is to first sew the black lace on the front before I sew the lining on it. I will first sew this black one on the front. I will sew here. I will sew on where the dart is. I will sew on this side and I will sew on this side before I will sew lining on it. So the neckline, the two sides, and bring to the back before sewing that. So I'm done doing that. I sewed that separately. I sewed that on the main material and that on the lining. So I'm going to join the shoulder. I place this way. I will use the lining from the front to sew. I will bring it to the back and sew just like this. I will bring it to the back lining and sew the two sides. So I'm going to cut the front neck now and use bias to hem. I'm going to use bias. I'm done doing that. I sew the two shoulder. So I'm going to sew the sleeve on it. I will do the same on this side. Place this way and sew round. So this for the middle part, the back and the front. I'm done sewing that on it. So I'm going to sew on the two sides. I will measure waist and hip and down part and sew. I will do the same on this side. So I'm done sewing the sleeve on it. So this for the middle part. I'm done sewing on the waist, hip and the down part. So I'm going to sew lining. I know I explained from the beginning. I will sew lining here in this part. This is where I will sew zip on. After sewing, I will bring to the back. Then I will join the waist. After doing that, I will use the lining to cover up the rough parts. I will sew to cover up the rough parts. So I'm done doing that. I'm going to sew this tiny lace on the waist. After doing that, I will sew the down part. So I'm done sewing the black lace on the waist, and I also sew black on this down part. This is how it looks like. So you can see on the waist the way I use the lining to cover up the rough part. So I'm going to sew the down part now, the very last one. But before I do that, I join the back for zip, and I leave some inches on the back to sew zip. So I will sew this way and sew the down part. I'm done sewing the back for zip. This is how it looks like. So I'm going to pleat. This is the last part before I will sew zip. I will sew round. After doing that, I will sew zip on the back. So this is how it looks like on the down part. I'm going to sew zip on it now. So I'm done sewing zip on it, and I iron. This is the final look, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. If you have any question in the comment section. Thank you. Bye.